For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open, the eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed, the head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward, the gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt, truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching, the voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple, all you sow you reap. The soul of truth is flaming, the heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Well, it's the day after the government parliamentarians did not have a choice but to reinstate the MP for Micoud South. And we'll be analyzing the actions of the MPs, what transpired, and the precedent that has been set, and whether the walk for democracy was warranted. Some statements made by the Prime Minister proving very controversial. And also, somebody said today was supposed to be a simple process. All that and more between now and 2 o'clock this afternoon as we welcome you to another edition of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM. We are also on YouTube and the NewsSpin Facebook page. During the course of the program, I'll be taking your calls at 452-2979. That's 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Those of you who have been following our NewsSpin chat room or group, as well as the Facebook chat room, you would know that I have a special guest in studio, and he is no other than controversial talk show host and contributor to NewsSpin almost on a daily basis. Can't afford his service. He's doing that pro bono, and that is Rick Wayne. But first, the Speaker of the House making that announcement yesterday that the vote has been taken, put the vote to the elected government MPs, and that is to facilitate the return of Alan Chasney in his official capacity as leader of the opposition and also MP for Micoud South. Now, considering what transpired earlier, that's just a few weeks ago, one would believe that, you know, he and the other MPs, they're just being magnanimous. And they're, as was stated, they are doing the favor to the people, the constituents of Micoud South. But they did not have a choice in the matter. As I have been saying over the last few days, they had eggshells, you name it, all over their faces. This was very embarrassing. and therefore they had to do a vote of fast and about face as far as this issue is concerned, considering the MP had taken the matter before the courts, and the leader of government business, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, had to provide this affidavit and make this commitment on behalf, according to him, the people of Micoud South. Let us hear from the Speaker of the House.
Members, the question is that be it resolved, the House of Assembly agrees to the lifting of the suspension without prejudice to the legal action by the member for Micoud South against his suspension, and be it further resolved that the lifting of the suspension shall be effective immediately following the passage of this motion, and the member will be at liberty to carry on his duties in service of the House and the constituency of Micoud South. I now put the question. As many as have that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Made in the island's parliament by the Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis. Joining the program, as we promised, is talk show host. Are you still a talk show host, Rick Wayne? You're more like a contributor to NewsSpin than anything else. All right, and plus you're a citizen, right? You would have taken time off yesterday to watch this, ball by ball. Your thoughts on how it transpired?
Thanks for inviting me to your establishment, Tim. Permit me to start the answer, to address your question this way. Mm-hmm. Some weeks ago, I was talking to a leading member of government, shall we say, and he was very concerned about the direction things were going in the country. And he said to me, unless we found a way, he said a truce, but you can use another word for that if you want. Unless we can find a way to call a truce, and in the context of what he was saying, I understood that to mean that we have to change our warlike ways. Unless we can find a way to do that, something terrible is going to happen.
Because the fact remains, there is some kind of bad blood right now in the politics.
There's what?
Bad blood in the politics.
Well, you're saying very bad, Bob. This is the house of hate. They can start changing it. It's been called several names from George Odlum's time to the house of dissemble. We have heard threats of shooting. You know, I put my gun, etc., etc. We've heard all that. All of those things are recorded in the
Hansard.
The Hansard.
But let me just show you off a little bit. Why do you think we've reached that point? What has caused that? Okay. It is the glove of power, because bossman and have to give contracts to people and have tenure in office. In that, after you serve 2 terms, but no less than 8 years, you have a pension. What's it? The grandeur that comes with the job?
See, the problem with our situation, we don't want to admit we are, most of us in this country, illiterate. And I use the word because that is the word. There are those who read words and don't understand what they read. They talk about research, and the research is Facebook or Wikipedia. I am fortunate enough to have lived through the then and able to comment on the now with, I hope, a degree of intelligence. And I don't speak only of my opinion. I tend to supply the evidence of what I'm saying. And there are those old enough who will say, yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they'll be able to say, to hell with whether I'm a hardcore UWP or hardcore SLP, because I've said it before. when things are bad in the country, there's no way SLPs get better off than UWPs.
But somehow, Rick, let's say things are bad in the country right now. If you were to speak to a supporter of the St. Lucia Labour Party,
that's the part I was coming to.
they will mask it. And if it is
and that is the same.
That will be the approach.
The Labour Party person will say he's having a great time, it's wonderful, things are great, because he thinks that's how he must express his loyalty to the party. When in fact already he's misguided, because his loyalty should be to the country. And your loyalty to the country does not automatically mean you are disloyal to your party. Because you always have to hold your party to the fire, his feet to the fire. Nothing need change your mind about voting every election for Labour or every election for the United Workers' Party. But you don't have to be next to a rock, being a rock, no thinking, your brain has stopped working, you don't even know if you have a brain because there's no evidence there is. We cannot afford that because everybody's going to pay. Like when the government minister spoke to me, that is what he was thinking about. And the automatic reaction, I can hear a UWP person saying, man, is when them fellas in office, they always want to call a truce when they're in office. But the same thing happens when the United Workers' Party is in office.
Yeah.
Kenny Anthony, my ambivalence about Kenny Anthony, I guess I'll go to the grave with that ambivalence unsettled. Because as many things as I can say I disagree with Kenny on policy, I can find a number of things that he alone has demonstrated. Kenny Anthony came into the House in 2011, shortly after the elections, I think. And he said two things. One was that we cannot continue to treat the leader of the opposition as if he were a crab in the house. That he has the same backing behind him of the people as the Prime Minister himself.
Just because of the experience that he had. Kenny Anthony.
No, because they were both elected by the people. They are representatives of the people. The fact that the Prime Minister...
Yeah, but these approaches have been prompted by his own experience as leader of the opposition.
Well,
the issue over the hut for the security personnel, providing security
what I
to him.
do, Tim, is that I avoid, as real as that may sound, as solid as that may sound, I have learned enough in all my years not to go down to speculation.
No, I'm not speculating.
No, you're free to.
I know that is what prompted it.
Then you are free to do that. But I will say, I prefer to believe that the humanity in the guy, his interest in the proper functioning of the country, tells him you cannot have in the House a bunch of guys who hate each other. It cannot work. It cannot work. Alan can be in court every other day of Parliament. You know how many things I know this may sound like a ramble, it's not. It's trying to explain to you how we got from there to where we are, and we are going the same direction. There's no reason to think this is going to change anytime soon. It will only be exacerbated. Hate, 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 and more hate. So Kenny Anthony in 2011, what they called the olive branch. I thought that was a bit presumptuous and arrogant and whatever, but small potatoes. The importance was that he recognized that the good he was trying to do for the country, that if he really wanted the country to move in the proper direction, he could not continue to perpetuate this war in the House between the leader of the opposition and the leader of the opposition. Like when Alan Chastney decided he wanted to have better quarters for his, I don't know the details of that.
For his office, yeah.
Yeah?
For his office, yeah.
And, well, why shouldn't he ask for better quarters? Why shouldn't he? You remember when Kenny Anthony had a hut built at his house? And his reason for that was, at least a public reason, was that he felt sorry for his police guards when it rained because they had to be in his balcony or whatever, and so he built the hut. When the other government came into office, they demanded that he pay from his own pocket that hut that he built. And remember, all that went on.
So that's what I'm telling you. That's what caused him to be magnanimous when he returned to the helm of the government in 2011.
I'm not arguing with you about magnanimity. I'm saying to you, I prefer to think that he saw the light. He saw the light because he's a bright guy, and I prefer to believe he recognized that if he doesn't make an effort to change this horror story, it can only get worse. Right now, there's nobody on speaking terms in the House, except for Bradley, who probably talks to the guys, the other side, and there are a lot of people who think Bradley is also saying Bradley is soft.
Right.
Because they wouldn't trust Bradley because Bradley has a relationship with the guys. But that's how it ought to be. But I will go further and tell you, every member, and I'm going to go out of my way and use a strong word, every member hates Alan Chasney. And chances are Alan hates them too. I don't know. But by all the evidence, if they are representing us, then we are being represented as a bunch of hateful people.
What accounts for that hatred?
Ignorance, politicians being the ones who they're the Pied Piper, they're the piper calling the tune, the government politicians. And I should say something else here, and I've said it before. I believe St. Lucia took a turn for the worse and has never changed direction from 1979. That was when the media blast started. That is when the Boulevard explosion happened. Can you believe that Castries was brought to its knees in that boulevard? The commercial sector of Castries, of St. Lucia, was crippled. And there was not one single arrest. We created history by throwing human feces on people having a public meeting. We did that. And not one person was charged. Also, the police were ordered back to their barracks. And nobody was made accountable for that. It cost the country millions of dollars to physically repair Castries in 1979.
Imagine back then. Imagine back then.
Yeah. That's what it cost, millions of dollars to repair the physical aspect of Castries. The psychic aspect continues today. Today, it's no big deal if somebody decides to take a pan of, pardon my French, but everybody knows Rick Wayne by now. If somebody would take a bucket of shit and threw it in Alan Chasney's face as he's walking down the road, a lot of people would love that.
They would.
As many would love it if it happened to Philip Pierre. We have become a very sick people. No give and take. There's no good narrative. And all of us are in some way responsible, accountable. All of us, to one degree or another. It's like when the government says, well, Kenny Anthony borrowed so much, and I did not borrow so much. But the only way we live is by borrowing.
Yeah. So why do you believe that amidst all the turmoil and the chaos, there isn't any significant voices of reasoning that is coming out across, that is playing the role of an arbiter, that, you know, maybe they have at least...
Don't mix them up. You said arbiter and you said a voice.
Yeah.
They're not the same. Arbiter is somebody who will put himself there. Yeah? Or you can be your own arbiter.
But it's all, I mean...
You can be an arbiter in your bedroom.
Yes, you could be a voice of reasoning, you could be an arbiter, but there's need for a role, somebody to intervene. A credible voice.
Because it's gotten to the point, it's gotten to the point that people who stood up for things that they know very well they should not have stood up for, and now the shit is pouring on them too. They can't speak out. Me, I will acknowledge or disprove whatever you said about me. Tim, in all my years here, I've never taken anybody to court for saying anything that pissed me off. I'm never taking anybody to court because I can always answer. And that is what should be happening in the court, in the House.
Country, yeah.
Because some people in the House believe the House is a courthouse. It is not. When it came out of the Speaker's mouth that I am the judge here. No, Mr. Speaker, you are not the judge anywhere. You are the Speaker. And when you're in the street, you're nobody. I almost said non-entity, but that's not what I meant. I meant you hold no office in the street. You have no Speaker authority in the street. You're just Mr. Nobody, insurance salesman, or whatever it is he does. That's who we are. In the street, you're just another stupid dope making mistakes. In the House gives you particular protections. And the protections afforded the Speaker by the House are the same protections offered every member of Parliament, you know. Only the Speaker, by the rules, is made the guy who is going to determine when a debate must stop. And he's not required to cast any kind of professional opinions. Everything he said, he should be able to preface that by saying, according to section so-and-so and so of Mays or the House or the statute, so-and-so. Stop trying to make it you are an expert. You are not, Mr. Speaker. You are an expert, as far as I know, at nothing. Which is not to say you're not. I say I don't know. But you are no expert. You're not a lawyer. You're far from a lawyer. And if you're going to interpret statutes, then go to the Interpretation Act that says words must be understood in their ordinary meaning. So if you say cat, the ordinary meaning of cat is a pussycat, meow, meow. It's not a tiger. So you can't be meaning to say a tiger and say cat.
Hasn't it appeared permissible to most people in St. Lucia that the Speaker can always rule, or it's automatic that he will rule or she will rule in favor of the governing side?
Don't forget that question, Tim, but I want to give a little history on that. I used to say that St. Clair Daniel was the standard bearer as Speaker. Until a few weeks ago, I came across a story I wrote in the 90s, I think it was, where for the first time in the history of St. Lucia Parliament, the Noes had it at budget time. Can you believe that? And it was a 9-8 situation. Julian Hunt was
leader of the
opposition. But there was some kind of halaikasse going on with Lansico, Romanus Lansico, and they were distracted. And so when the Speaker moved, as many as are in favor say aye, there was no answer. And he couldn't repeat it. That's not the norm. He couldn't repeat it. So he looked at the guys for a while, but they were involved with the Lansico thing going on. And so he had no other choice, and Julian Hunt and the guys were watching this. And they were waiting when he says, as many are not in favor say, the no lifted the roof. And right there, the budget should have died, right, with all its ramifications. You know what St. Clair Daniel did? Because the guys were caught like a deer in the headlights, you know, also amazed at what they were involved in again, the arrogance of presumption. And he
took a break, recess.
I want to tell you what happened because I was in the press box watching this, you know, and both on the lip reading and you could hear him because the guys were arguing among themselves. He said to Compton, call a recess. The Speaker of the House took it on his own to tell the government leader who had just lost his chance to say the ayes have it. He's telling him, fix things up. Do it surreptitiously. Do it under the table. Call a recess, call a recess. And so he stood up and called a recess. St. Clair Daniel left the chamber, and the guy never even left the arguing among themselves. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Julian Hunt was making noise and everything else. It ended up with him walking out with his guys. And later on in the afternoon, with Julian Hunt and them out of the house, St. Clair Daniel repeated the motion. As many as in favor say aye. And of course, everybody said aye. And the thing was passed. Afterward, I went to St. Clair Daniel and interviewed him as to this bit of history. And you know what he said to me? He said the House has a power to change its mind. and I wondered under what section, but that is the man I was holding up. But I should tell you also, it's interesting to know these people, the people we put in the House. Sinclair Daniel was the only guy who was disfranchised in St. Lucia's political history, as far as I know. And why? Because of statements he made about an opponent in some election they were having at the time. And he was banned for, I think, 5 years, disenfranchised for 5 years, and fined something like $500, which is a lot of money at that time. That is the guy who was Speaker of the House. Now, in another jurisdiction where people are more careful about character and reputation, they might have had second thoughts about him. But he became, you know, who was the biggest advisor to speakers of the House and the Labour Party? You know who it is? They don't necessarily read because we have a disinclination to read. You know who they go to? Matthew Roberts. Enough said. Matthew Roberts is the oracle for the Parliament of St. Lucia. You know who Matthew Roberts is? I'm sure you don't want to go there.
You don't expect me to know who he is?
Oh, I expect you to tell your listeners and viewers. Who is Matthew Roberts? Okay?
Well, there's some controversy surrounding him a few years ago.
Magdoum?
Yes.
Okay.
And also he was former editor of the...
Well, I think it's enough to say Magdoum because of calypsos and everything about that. But he was the Speaker of the House. He had to resign because he tried to sue me, and he ultimately resigned. Not only did he try to sue me, he finally withdrew the case. In fact, I was one evening doing my show, talk, when police officers came in the middle of the show and delivered an injunction to me. I read the injunction on air, and then eventually we ended up before the judge, and he decided to withdraw. Pay damages, pay me, pay my costs, pay Magdoum, pay everybody else. That guy is the tutor. He's the oracle. He's the go-to man for all speakers, and I say Labour Party, probably for the UWPs as well. And so, Tim, it's unfair to new spinners listening when we give them only a little bit. And you ask me, how do I think that we got where we are? Yeah. I must go down
that's not what I asked before you answered. The question I did pose to you is, why is it it appears to be permissible in St. Lucia that the Speaker can rule inevitably or on all occasions in favor of the government side? It almost seemed acceptable.
Because of all the things that became acceptable all over the years. Because we have guys as heroes who should be anything but heroes. We have guys whose minds we trust.
Do you think it's because we have not set clear guidelines?
All the guidelines are there, Tim.
Or do you think it's because, particularly in this case, with the government having that kind of majority,
we'll come to that in a second.
Appointing a speaker as opposed to electing a speaker?
Well, you know, everywhere we have parliament, the speaker is more or less a fait accompli. But in England and Australia and those places, at least they go through a motion. Like in England, there are a number of candidates. They have to make speeches. They have to do all kinds of things. And the check on them, you're not going to find anybody sitting in the speaker's chair in Parliament who sexually abused the boy, for example. He can be the biggest supporter of the party. I definitely don't believe that any guy who was even reputationally connected with the sexual abuse of a boy would find himself, or a child or a girl or whoever, or charged with thefts. And we like to say also, when these matters come up, and I'm not referring to anybody in particular, but the answer will be, but the man ain't convict. The man ain't convict. The electorate should not concern itself primarily with conviction or not conviction. The electorate should act on what it knows, what the electorate knows, what the electorate knows about the individual reputation. And Kenny Anthony, again, at the same time, when he spoke about the disregard and disrespect given the leader of the opposition, he also said at that time that St. Lucians have to be more discriminating in its choice of people it places in the house. You seen anything like that going on? People will tell you, well, the man don't get convict. And they will ignore everything they personally know or have heard or should be concerned about and will not ask the questions. But Kenny said, you have no private life the minute you come into politics, and you should be open to every kind of question, and the fact that you will not ask the question is suspect. Here, you are threatened with suits, slander suits and libel suits, if you even insinuate that you believe a certain thing that was said about so. I want to read you something.
Yeah, go ahead before we take a commercial break.
Yeah. Freedom of speech in the House. And this is from Mays, the Bible of parliamentary procedure, House of Commons. By far the most important right given accorded MPs, is the exercise of freedom of speech in parliamentary proceedings. It has been described as a fundamental right without which the MPs would be hampered. In other words, this is a good English word, Tim. Without which they would be hampered in the performance of their duties. Without the freedom of speech afforded them, they would be hampered in the performance of their parliamentary duties. It permits them to speak in the House without inhibition. No inhibition. Nothing holding you back. It allows them to speak without inhibition. That's why it says the freedom to speak in the House. Mm-hmm. In the House, MPs are allowed to speak without inhibition, to refer to any matter, to refer to any matter or express any opinion as they see fit, to say what they feel needs to be said in the furtherance of the national interest and the aspirations of their constituency. You hear that? You hear that? So, if I may use an example, when Alan Chasney made certain remarks about a certain MP in the House, he's entitled to make those things in the House without inhibition, without fear that the Speaker might throw him out, without fear somebody might put a hit on him, without fear somebody will, I'm going to, even ahead of time, I'm going to pull you before the Privileges Committee. Without inhibition in the House. That is why when certain things were said about Kenny Anthony by an MP during the Grindberg initial thing, Kenny Anthony turned around and said to that particular MP, repeated outside. Mm-hmm. Kenny Anthony is a constitutional lawyer. But today, especially if you are one, and you know the other thing too, can you imagine you are accused of murder? You're in the dock. The judge is the uncle of the person you allegedly killed. The jury are other brothers and sisters. And they are judging you, Tim.
Yeah.
That is the situation we have now. I am not saying anybody's wrong or right in the House. I am saying it does not look the optics, and justice must be seen to be done. You know in advance that any vote put to the House will be automatically get A's from a certain side. And that's whether it's UWP or SLP. Aberrational behavior is what's going on in the House. When did you ever hear a member of government in the House, an MP? As a matter of fact, when it did happen, there was a problem. The Sarah Flood Bobra situation. It happened. So we've been living aberrationally, putting ourselves on the block aberrationally, and the result is what we have now, that government MP who spoke to me is correct. If we cannot find a way to turn that wheel around, we are going down the tubes. We are three-quarter way down already. There's no respect for any. You asked a while ago, why is nobody talking? Because they're scared for one reason or another. If they talk, they're likely to end up being a subject on some TV show discussing their wives' panties or all that kind of stuff. You know, or somebody might threaten them. So they're scared. With me, I don't give a damn what they say about me right now. I am closer to the lounge departure than anything else. And if I didn't care when I was 30-something, you think I'm going to give a damn at 200? But I'm going down fighting, no matter what. And I'm not doing it for any St. Lucian out there who's too lazy to stand up. I'm doing it for me. Somebody asked me this morning, why do you have to go, not this morning, a friend, an overseas friend, why do you have to go to do Tim Singh? All that writing you've done, it's going to cause nothing, it's going to change nothing. I said, no, I don't expect it to change. But I want it on the damn record that Rick Wayne said so and so and so and so. And long after Rick Wayne is gone, feel like, let the coming generations realize that their predecessors were nothing short of wolves and animals. To be allowing our most prestigious building, our most prestigious institutions to have died like they all have, Tim. Nobody really, people support their party in the House. But on neither side does anybody care about justice and right and what does, I mean, every day we hear the speaker talking about rules and the House and whatever. And at random, listen to this. A member shall not, and they always make a fuss over here about shall. What's the other one? What's the other word? Shall and may. You know, I always have a laugh. That's the only thing St. Lucians know about. That shall means something and may means something. You know, they make a big deal of that. A member shall not read his speech, but he may read extracts from written or printed papers or books in support of his argument, and may refresh his memory by reference to notes. He will not read his speech. But we contravene that rule, and we have even built lecterns or whatever for the guys to put the speeches on there. I expect any time now that we're going to get fantastic speeches in Parliament, all done by artificial intelligence. That's the next thing.
ChatGPT. All right, still to come on the program, a whole lot more. We'll be hearing from the Prime Minister. We'll also be hearing from the leader of the parliamentary opposition. And of course, I'll be hearing from you at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And I'll be going through some of your comments in the chat room. My special guest on NewsSpin is Rick Wayne. And he's a well-known St. Lucian writer, journalist, talk show host, publisher. We'll be back.
Treat yourself to KFC's new Genius menu. Get your choice of one-piece chicken, corn, and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, fries, and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, mac and cheese, and biscuit for just $11.50. Order now through WhatsApp at 484-0400.
Or visit our website, kfcslu.com.
Or dine in at any one of our locations. Now that's a genius choice with unbeatable value. KFC, finger licking good.
Pli meilleure manière pour entrer indépendant, c'est là où ka conduire en loto qui sa ou. Ek First Wheels Hot First National Bank, nous ka offert l'intérêt qui bien bas, et nous ka prêter ou tout l'argent pour acheter l'auto a, depuis ou satisfait tout ça qui mérite. Vini indépendant et prêter l'argent Hot First National Bank pour acheter First Wheels ou. Visitez n'importe branche et bien couillez téléphone 455-7000 et 455-717. First National Bank, here for you.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Tired of searching all over and still can't find the auto parts you need? At Fede Auto Parts, we make it easy for you and save you the frustration and running around. From Toyota to Chevy to Daihatsu to those rare truck parts, we've got you covered. And we're quick with special orders with frequent flights from Japan, the US, and the UK. Visit our store or give us a call at 450-7500 or 484-8141. Save time and avoid the line. Fede Auto Parts, Wadawaj. Why stop anywhere else?
Introducing the new LuSelect Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From My Account to Streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, luselect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LuSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
LuSelect aveti ou pour point précaution durant saison cyclone ça là. Mi un petit commission qui kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou et propriétaire. Couiller LuSelect avant ou trim et bien couper pied bois qui peut ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold et bout d'outils ou ka servi pas venir moins qui 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben outils qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wall côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors LuSelect.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Night Meds is your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
Glass Supermarket continues to be your family-oriented local supermarket which spares no effort to affordably bring you the world.
Trust Glass.
For quality and friendly service.
Trust Glass.
For daily excellent specials and fantastic prices.
Trust Glass.
For the best quality bread. Check out Glass for your delicious French pastries and meals.
Also, you must know that Glass caters for your special occasion with these quality French pastries and cakes.
Be sure to earn points on your Glass card as we say thank you for your support, St. Lucia. Glass Supermarket, contact number 452-8814.
to start. Automotive art is a place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-roading. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
The Walk for Democracy took place yesterday, Rick. And you had young people, you had male, you had female. Senior citizens also participated, but they got a tongue lashing from the Prime Minister of this country. Let me play you the clip of the Prime Minister in Parliament making reference to senior citizens who participated in that walk yesterday.
I saw old ladies in the speaker who can barely walk. Who can barely walk, I feel sorry for them. Following him. Been back here, barely walk. I saw old ladies in the speaker who can barely walk. Who can barely walk, I feel sorry for them. Following him. Been back here, barely walk.
What do you make of this statement, Mr. Riquin? Because, I mean, you said earlier that you had the opportunity to live overseas and you benefited from that immensely. Now, I've traveled a couple places and so on. But clearly I've not lived overseas the way you have. The longest I've stayed overseas, about 3 weeks. But you would know, Rick, that in LA, in the UK and so on, a Prime Minister will not make that kind of statement about senior citizens, about people who are disabled or a guy who has a big belly, and because you are the Prime Minister of the country. So much is expected of you. So you're hesitating a little bit, but I'll play the clip just one. No, play just one more time. Just one more time.
I saw old ladies in the speaker who can barely walk. Who can barely walk, I feel sorry for them. Following him. Been back here, barely walk.
What does that say to the senior citizens of this country? I don't say old people or old women. What does that say about those people? Let's say about our Prime Minister.
You know, you said a while ago that I travel a lot. I go further and stir the hornet's nest. And I'll tell you that I was born here. Never mind my history or Bahamas, I never said that. But anyway, I was born here, put it in the record. But Rick, when ain't no product of St. Lucia. I'm repeating myself. I am not a product of St. Lucia. Because to be a product of St. Lucia, you must have the sentiments, the sensibilities, the dumbness, the disinclination to read. You want to beat up everybody you see. You never want to debate a thing out. That is what we have allowed to happen in our country. That's why children now are attacking teachers. Can you imagine that? In my day, I'm sure yours too. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go home and tell your mother that your teacher did anything to you. There were the bad points of that too, but there were a lot more good points to that. Today, a teacher has to think 10 times before he even looks too hard at a child. We have allowed that to become the norm, deculture. We have allowed that. I have to disagree with you that there's anything special or unique about what the Prime Minister said. I think it's unfortunate because the Prime Minister has been at the receiving end.
But I don't like that word, unfortunate.
Yeah. I hate it as well, but I use it correctly.
Yeah. I don't like that word.
I say it's unfortunate because the Prime Minister...
I would say it's unacceptable.
That would be okay too. But if you let me finish, you'll see why I would prefer to say unfortunate rather than unacceptable, which is a good word. The Prime Minister has been at the receiving end for stuttering. Mm-hmm. So you'd think he would be thinking twice before he referred to not just elderly people,
old,
but handicapped elderly people in wheelchairs. I should also say to you, I have had my fair share of... Rick, somebody called your show once, 11 years ago, I think it was. but Rick Wayne have a stick, you know. Well, my stick is around there somewhere. I can't be without it. But the brain functions, okay? The brain is in no way handicapped. I want to point out to you that we had a president of the United States we couldn't move with a wheelchair. We had that. We've had a number of there's a number of news items where you see leading members of Congress and leading people moving around on sticks or walkers and whatever.
You have news anchors who could barely walk.
Very good. But the opposite one is barely
walk.
And then you have music who can't walk without a stick. Okay, so
okay.
No, but let me go on.
Go ahead.
So that's why I say it's unfortunate. Because you see, I always come across the problem of the Pip I know. I say Pip deliberately. The Pip I know and the Philip Pierre performing in the theater. And he doesn't seem to realize there are people who know that is not, who prefer to believe that is not his normal behavior, that he's playing to the gallery. This is, you take it or leave it.
Yeah, but this has been Pip. From the time he was contesting elections against Romanas Lansico. Okay? One would have expected that he would have changed, would have matured once he became the Prime Minister of the country to become more sophisticated. Now I'm saying the Pip of Romanas Lansico because I remember covering up a meeting and you were saying that Romanas Lansico had a meeting at Marsha, at Rock Hall, wherever.
There was a madman.
And there was a madman and there were 2 dogs and a
whatever.
And
but Lansico on the other hand, I'm his good friend.
Yeah.
And Lansico turned on me and said I had AIDS.
But I'm just saying,
no, but let me get back.
Especially Rick now in that era of social media.
That's why I say it's unfortunate.
That's why I'm not saying it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'm not saying because he should know better.
Yeah, but you ask me, and I say, of course he should know better, and he should be more careful. You know, because he himself got the stuttering thing, which he has made quite a deal of, and that alone should prevent him from saying anything about anybody with the slightest handicap. So that is an unfortunate situation, because if you're going to talk about handicapped people and you want to see stuttering as a handicap, you have to put him in the same groove. So, you know, so we have to be careful. But then again, you talk about Donald, President of the United States, where he was mocking, and not mocking a journalist that is famous around the world. So the standards keep going lower and lower and lower. And I say it is unfortunate that we have leaders who keep on putting on display their worst characteristics as opposed to their best characteristics.
Because they know they'll get away with it?
Yeah,
okay,
well, yeah, because they know they'll get away with it. Because if anything, let me say something to you. And
so it speaks about our own standards
where we are
in this country.
Where we are, and that's what I'm talking about. And the politicians will get worse and worse because the people are getting worse and worse. You know, interestingly, history again. When George Odlum and Peter Josie had their first demonstration march against the banana, whatever was going on, whatnot, I have a whole chapter of that in my book. There were about 12 people following him all the way from Susie. The pitch was so hot, and these people were barefoot. It was melting. And all this is in detail in my book because I was on the march. And they were all old ladies. And out of those old ladies and whatnot grew that whole farming movement that got the Labour Party into office with such a resounding, historic press.
In 1979?
In 1997. No, 79.
79.
Exactly. Those were the people. So it's unfortunate in every way you look at it that older people, and you know...
I have to wince every time you say
by the way,
unfortunate.
I know, it's all right. But by the way, here's another disgusting thing, and I can talk about it now from a personal time, because I have had my jokes too about people. I've had my jokes at you on your walk, you know. So but it's not an excuse. But when I did it, I was basically pulling your leg. I didn't mean any harm on it, and I've apologized to you a million times, and I don't care if I have to apologize to you many more times than that.
And I've always said to you,
forget about that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
But it was dumb. It was stupid. It was bad, and it will never be good, and I will never do it again. Okay, that is the point. So you would think that these guys would realize somebody did so and so. I should not do that. Donald Trump is being crucified for mocking a reporter with a disability and so on and so on. But that is where we are going, and that is becoming the norm. You cannot have a discussion on TV. We have important people in this country responding when they are called out on their job or their duty or whatever by talking about how many men a woman has gone to bed with and how many underwear she has, and we have that as the norm in this country. A lot of the people you were talking about who don't talk anymore because they are scared that if they disagree with something political, their progeny may be made to pay for it, and they're going to go through the worst kind of misery. And women in particular, you notice how the women, they're just politicians in bras, you know. The women we have in politics are just like the men in every way. They might well be transvestites and they might well be trannies because they are everything like the male politician. You have never heard a female politician of a yellow or red stripe stand in the House of Assembly and pronounce on the horror of rape. I have asked a couple of them, why not? They talk about in umbrella terms like abuse and domestic violence. Talk about rape and the horror of rape of children. Get your minister, female minister, to take an hour on her feet to talk about rape. Look at them, all these women.
I mean, because the problem is widespread in St. Lucia. And Rick,
Widespread.
you would know that people now are not speaking about it and coming forward, the victims, primarily because they're afraid of the fallout.
One of my greatest disappointments is this lady, Jean. She's a senator. I mean,
Alison Jean.
There she was grabbing the spotlight overseas with the horrendous shooting of her son and everything. She came over here, and in one or two cases, she was on vigils. Since she became a senator, women have been killed. A woman was killed, and you found her in a gutter, and you thought like so much garbage. Not a word, not a word, not a word from her. She should be leading. I don't expect to get that from what's her name. Virginia Albert, I don't expect to hear Virginia. I don't expect to hear from her, but I expect to hear from this woman. I expect to hear her saying something at every opportunity in the Senate, not referring to stupidly to the Prime Minister as Moses of the East or Moses of the West. Talk to me about what is going to happen to this woman who was shot in her bedroom with her two children, who may well have seen the mother get shot. What's her name again? Kimberly. I want to hear from Jean on these realities, these horrific realities. But we have a bunch of fakes who are either endorsing the worst things in the society with their silence or themselves epitomizing it.
Another thing that your good friend, Prime Minister Philip J.P. said in the House yesterday. So we'll play that clip and we'll get a reaction from you, Rick.
My good friend.
What we are debating here on the surface, Mr. Speaker, may seem to be a debate about the member for Mico South. It may seem, Mr. Speaker, to the regular observer to be a debate about the member for Mico South. It may even seem to some opportunists that's a debate about democracy. It may even seem, Mr. Speaker, that is a debate about freedom. It may even seem, Mr. Speaker, it's a debate about a personal grudge of members in this honorable House. On the surface, Mr. Speaker, that's what it may look like.
Okay. So the Prime Minister is saying, I mean, there's nothing deliberate. I'm not taking deliberate shots, nothing personal about our contributions, etc. But I think it's otherwise. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but because it's your good friend, Philip J.P.
Look, and the reason I am hesitating is not because he's my good friend. It's almost I want to agree with him. I almost want to agree with them. Because people don't demonstrate for any cause in this country except follow the leader. And when you have the sea of red following the Labour Party, you think when you have the meeting on Thursday, when is it? When is the meeting they're having here?
Thursday, that's tomorrow.
On Thursday. And you got 2 million people down here. You think they are there because they want to hear the issues. They want to hear how many jobs are going to be in line, so and so, that they can get the passports now easily. They can even get it on the internet, all that kind of. You think that's what they're there for? They will have been bussed in. Some will be paid. Some will be given meals. They got to have a crowd, and none of them will be able to tell. Just like your chat room. Don't be too hard on me, fellow news spinners. Your chat room seldom has anything to do with what we're talking about. And by the way, chat room,
okay. You know why?
One minute. Fellow chat room, I am not maypooing you there, because I'm with you. But let us get involved in the meat of the matter, the issue. Let's get to it. So we don't do that. When the United Workers' Party has all its people out there, man is Alan, Alan is God, Alan is this, Alan is that. It's not because Alan is standing for democracy. If you ask them to give you their opinion of democracy or how their democratic rights are being abused in the current situation, they could not tell you.
But in defense of the news spinners in the chat room, it has everything to do with this being a community. It is a community. Okay,
a community of what?
A community of individuals who think,
talking each other's
who discuss various issues.
What issues?
Who highlight things.
Read a couple.
No.
Tim is your. Let me address your news spinners.
That is personal. For them, that is personal. They're discussing their personal issues. That is a community.
All right, I'll leave it.
And I think, Rick, you're an invader.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't understand. No, you really don't understand what is happening in that community.
Move next.
All right, when we come back in just a moment, your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. Your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. You're watching NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page. We are also on YouTube, and you're listening to the broadcast on Power 97.9 FM. My guest is Rick Wayne.
Exceeding your expectations is what we strive for at Lazarus Funeral Home. Losing a loved one isn't something you can foresee. Since the beginning, affordability has been one of our priorities. Every day we're proving that burials don't have to be expensive. If cost is a factor in your time of bereavement, call Lazarus Funeral Home. We have coffins starting at $800 plus taxes. Nothing can cause more disappointment than poor quality. Help us help you keep your last memory of your loved one sacred. Make it special. Make it Lazarus Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Located at Bibliotheque Castries at 452-7491 and New Dock Road V4 at 454-6555.
Introducing the new Low Select Virtual Service Desk, where one click is your access to every service. From my account to streetlight reports, requests for payment arrangements to settle arrears, change of name and address. Easy online forms give you access from anywhere and at any time. Every service you need at your fingertips. Go to our website, LouSelect.com, and click on the Virtual Service Desk widget. LouSelect's Virtual Service Desk. Every solution at your fingertips.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Why pay full price for your mobile when you can pay half? Just bundle your home internet and mobile services with Flow and save 50% on your mobile bill. That's money in your pocket every month. Plus, now you get free YouTube and WhatsApp data. And you can share your plan with up to 3 other numbers. Upgrade now and get a free smartphone. Switch and keep your number. Learn more at discoverflow.co.
Tired of searching all over and still can't find the auto parts you need? At Fede Auto Parts, we make it easy for you and save you the frustration and running around. From Toyota to Chevy to Daihatsu to those rare truck parts, we've got you covered. And we're quick with special orders with frequent flights from Japan, the US, and the UK. Visit our store or give us a call at 450-7500 or 484-8141. Save time and avoid the line. Fede Auto Parts, Wadawaj. Why stop anywhere else?
Treat yourself to KFC's new Genius menu. Get your choice of one-piece chicken, corn, and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, fries, and biscuit, or one-piece chicken, mac and cheese, and biscuit for just $11.50. Order now through WhatsApp at 484-0400
or visit our website kfcslu.com
or dine in at any one of our locations. Now that's a genius choice with unbeatable value. KFC, finger licking good.
Glass Supermarket continues to be your family-oriented local supermarket which spares no effort to affordably bring you the world.
Trust Glass.
For quality and friendly service.
Trust Glass.
For daily excellent specials and fantastic prices.
Trust Glass.
For the best quality bread. Check out Glass for your delicious French pastries and meals.
Also, you must know that Glass caters for your special occasion with these quality French pastries and cakes.
Be sure to earn points on your Glass card as we say thank you for your support, St. Lucia. Glass Supermarkets, contact number 452-8814.
Plastic Solutions, catering to all your commercial and domestic plastic and paper bag needs. We also manufacture printed and non-printed plastic bags. Located on the cul-de-sac Bexo Highway, Plastic Solutions is an environmentally friendly company because of its high standard plastic recycling process. For orders and inquiries, please call 758-451-5577 or visit us on the cul-de-sac Bexo Highway.
Automotive art is a place to start. Automotive art is a place to start.
Yeah, look, check. We got a wide range of products that are automotive and do-it-yourself supplies if you got a moment. Smart staff that'll always know it. Got rims and tires from trucks to high performance to off-road. Start hair tools, batteries, oil, and car care.
Automotive art is a place to start.
Chrissy, go on, babe. You will be late for your appointment.
Papa, the water to our pressure, it running like oil.
Okay, let me fix that once and for all.
I go in by Europa, they have enough pumps there. Domestic and commercial, they have tough pumps there. Europa is the boss for water pumps in St. Lucia. Check them out for any pressure boosting system you may need for both domestic and commercial applications. Best of all, Europa has the best prices, top quality, and after-sales support like no other. The Leo brand of water pumps will solve all your water pressure needs. I go in by Europa, they have enough pumps there. Domestic and commercial, they have tough pumps there. Contact us today at telephone 452-0763. Pumps also available at courts.
The government of St. Lucia, through the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Elderly Affairs, continues to provide more for pregnant women in St. Lucia. Through maternal and child health services under universal health coverage, pregnant women will receive laboratory and ultrasound services through community wellness centers island-wide at no cost. From care during and after pregnancy, vaccinations, family planning to nutritional and mental health counseling, we are here to support you. Take advantage of our weekly services at no cost. And from 1st June 2023, the addition of laboratory and ultrasound services will ease the pressure to aid healthier and safer delivery for you and your baby. Visit your nearest wellness center to register for universal health coverage. For more information, call 468-5300 or 468-5328.
today was supposed to be a simple process. Y'all came to the court. You gave the court an undertaking. You said that you all had a discussion and that you felt that the people from Miku South were being aggrieved, and therefore you allow me back into the House. You now want to go and discuss the details. And when Bradley stood up on a point of order of Section 35 and said, you're not supposed to be discussing those details, the Speaker says, it's not, in his opinion, that's not the case. Well, again, now it speaks to the confidence that me as a parliamentarian and that the general public ought to have in the Speaker's capacity and his partiality. Time and time again, he's showing that he's not fit to hold that office.
Leader of the opposition, an MP for Miku South, during an appearance on NewsSpin yesterday. Let's take your calls right now. I have a WhatsApp call coming from the diaspora. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Couple things. First off, I just want to send my condolences to the Didier family. Today was the memorial of Ellery Didier, and my condolences to the family. A friend of Rick, and I bring that up in the sense of also saying that we don't make men like that anymore, or men like that are not stepping up to positions of power in the system of democracy that we have. There's a backfeed coming through on the line there, Timothy. I don't know.
My apologies. Not from my end, but just try to bear with it, sir.
Okay, no problem. So I mentioned that because I believe if men of character and integrity are not stepping up to positions of power, privilege, and position, as is within any democracy or constitutional sort of democracy, I think we have a problem. And in that, I mean, we inherited a colonial system, a statute that affords a lot of authority and power to individuals. Most modern-day countries or democracies have adapted and modernized those democracies to match what the modern-day characters are coming into power. So if you are producing individuals who want to, be fraudulous, commit crimes, you need to modernize your statutes and your laws and the way democracies work to basically catch an eye on or cast an eye on such individuals. I think what we've failed to do in St. Lucia is modernize our democracy. So my question is, in light of, and when I had done a deposition with my father, almost I don't even remember how long ago, Constitutional Reform Commission was taking place. We stood in front of whoever it was, presented at the government buildings. Nothing of substance or consequence has come out of that. Great recommendations, but nothing has done. We are now living in a technological age. Outside of even mentioning AI, technology is providing democracies and institutions with a lot of challenges, and they are modernizing. We are almost 20 years behind. So my question is to Rick and yourself, if we don't have leaders who are going to be able to modernize, we don't have an electorate who's going to modernize and elect persons to that, how do we get past this and produce a country or a country of citizens able to thrive? Because right now it looks very much like an abyss.
All right, thank you so much. Rick, you want to take this?
You got the gem off already?
Your man?
You got him off already?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to pity. I was asking who his father.
I'll tell you in a while.
Okay.
His father is a lawyer who passed away a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, and my condolences to Ellery's family. I've done that already. And yes, but it's interesting, most of the people that we would like to talk about, men of character, and I'm very careful about that, but to use it, seem to have been products of other countries despite they were solutions.
Yeah.
They were products of other countries. They lived long in other countries, and they learned to value things like democracy and freedom of speech, not from here, because St. Lucians have never had a need to. St. Lucians don't say anything at all, and it's usually chumamau, that's what they consider the freedom of speech. but the freedom of speech a lot more, and we don't teach that in schools. There's nothing going on in the schools to teach people to stand up for standards and all that kind of stuff. And to answer his question about men of character, I don't think that we have any left. And I say that not because I want to be a judge and I'm so great myself, but I'm going on the evidence. If I never see a manico in St. Lucia, I'm going to presume there are no manicos in St. Lucia. So if we're having, and the house is where we normally advertise our class of people, the House of Parliament. This was the house that parents wanted their kids to look at and to want to emulate the men who are talking there, that they had social conscience and whatever. Not even lawyers. People used to think that, in fact, the lawyers used to brag that they were inspired to study law out of a social conscience. Lawyers are about the worst crooks out as a category.
We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon, NewsSpin, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, good day.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon
Hi,
to you.
good day, team.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Isn't it the same old ladies who can barely walk, whom PJP feels sorry for them, that he went out getting to vote around elections? Wow. The Prime Minister, the Prime Minister can ridicule. If the Prime Minister can ridicule the elderly, who are we, the young generation, not to do the same? I see the Prime Minister does not set any example for the young generation. No wonder the crime rate is escalating. First, it was racism. Now it's discrimination against the elderly. I wonder who's next on the list. Is it the blind, the special needs? It's like we cannot speak out and it's like we need to keep quiet about everything that is affecting us. Look, on first day, the 2.5 levy will be in effect. It will be affecting the parents who will be closing soon. And it's the parents it will be affecting. They know very well why they put it for that date in June. You know, they're not looking after the less fortunate. We work hard every day to try to make ends meet, and still it's not working. Businesses like Massey, courts.
But caller, the levy will not be on Thursdays. It's on July the 1st.
Oh, July 1st.
Yes,
sorry.
not June.
Look, businesses like Massey, Best Buy, courts, they're not doing well. Businesses are being shut down. People are losing their jobs every day. The Prime Minister is not doing anything about it. That's all I have to say, Tim.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing with us. Just came to mind now. The lawyer who is the guy's father is Larcher.
Oh,
Larcher,
yes.
All right, let's take another call. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon to your very special guest. Good afternoon, Rick.
Thank you.
Rick, I have great respect for you. Right?
Why?
We have agreed to disagree with each other from time to time. Let me tell you, I use a word about our Prime Minister. I know you're the Prime Minister's friend. You've said so many times. You've said so many times, Rick, that you're Philip J. Pierce's friend. But
by the way, before you go any further, I think we should start defining what one we mean by friend.
Friend,
because I'm discovering that my definition of friend, it does not coincide with the average definition of friend in St. Lucia.
That's right, because I know that for a fact. Well, friend has about 8 different meanings.
For me, it has one meaning.
No, well, in the dictionary, there are about 8 different meanings of the word friend. But Rick, let me tell you, the remark that Philip J. Pierce as first of all, Philip J. Pierce started making out from long ago. And every time he opens his mouth, for some reason, he's been talking stupidness. And when I say stupidness, I mean, for example, let's go back in time. He wanted to take somebody to court for not appointing a deputy speaker, only to find out that he would have to take himself to court. He is the first person I know would have to take himself to court, because he was responsible for appointing a deputy speaker as well. So I don't know anybody who would deliberately want to take themselves to court. But on this question of mimicking an old woman, let me say this. In the march that the SLP had during COVID, there were people there in wheelchairs. Philip J. Pear, after 25 years in politics, should know that they just go to the homes of the elderly, lift them up off their beds, and take them out to vote. And that's probably one of the reasons he's a prime minister today. He should know that there are sick people, there are blind people who have to be guided. So if as an elderly, on their own ability to walk in a march, a walk, not a run, not a race, a walk, you think a prime minister that's supposed to be a prime minister of all the people should be standing up in the House? And yesterday, I made a statement on this program that the Parliament seems to be getting worse and worse every day. It's getting ridiculous.
So are the people.
Yes, and the people are the ones that put them there.
Well, then start with that.
And listen, you know, I'm thinking about St. Lucia. I'm not thinking about UWP or PLP.
I don't believe you, but it's all right.
I am concerned about the way St. Lucia is going. It's sad, you know, when I hear leaders stand up in the House.
Colin, may I interrupt you?
So much nonsense. Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. I kind of have a feeling of been there, done that, and it's overwhelming me. And I'm trying my best not to waste my time discussing the idiosyncrasies of politicians, because they're all the same goddamn thing. All of them, both parties, all of them. I mean, look at how the country allowed.
Colleague, you'll have to listen off air. We're going to take as many calls as possible. Thank you.
Okay.
The country allowed a front burner item of the election to be the color of Alan Chastain's skin. The country allowed that. And some of the people who were pushing that are people who are half white themselves. But it was a good instrument to play on the ignorance of the St. Lucians by making them believe Alan Chastanet represented colonialism and plantation owner. I mean, that's so ridiculous, but we fell for it. We even made an issue of if a man says, it's not every dog I listen to, that is called Churchill said it. A lot of people said it. So we are de-educating people, because if I were the one opposing, let me do a little semi-attack on Alan, because I think politicians, like singers, have to know where they sing in opera, because at a hip-hop show you're going to be the best opera singer, you're going to get booed. They don't want you on there. So if I were Alan Chastanet, and I wanted to use the figure, the famous, legendary, universal figure of speech about barking dogs, don't bite and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, if I were the Labour Party attacking that, Alan says, well, it's not every dog I stop to listen to, etc. I would say, but, you know, as Prime Minister of the country, you should damn well listen to every dog that barks, because maybe the dog is barking out of pain. But I would not have to twist that to make people ignorant by telling Kakwe is not shame. He ain't calling nobody no shame. But the statement, I would use it as it is and still be able to turn it on my opponent. You know why? Because I got brains, because I'm read, because I read books, because I like to consider myself educated, and I don't have to make myself appear educated by making other people, by taking advantage of other people's lack of education. And that's what we do here. We take advantage of other people's lack of education with the modicum of education we ourselves have.
We have a call. Good afternoon. Thanks for holding on. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon to Rick.
Hi.
Yes, let me, well, Rick, permit me to speak bluntly in the first instance and say, who cares? Like you would say.
That sounds like me, man. Woo!
Right. Like, that tip is your act differently in different circles.
Yes.
Rick, I think it is unfortunate that you are using unfortunate to describe Pip's behavior in the House.
Oh, but Tim already stated that one, eh?
Yeah, but there should be no endorsement. This is a shameful statement, because this is the same gentleman who goes to the homes of elderly people at elections and brings them to the House on stretchers, on wheelchairs, on canes, on their backs, whatever means.
Let me ask you something, Colin, because we've been through this already. So let me just make a point, and you know, because I'm hoping I can elucidate.
Yes, please.
history has it, and I say history has it because I wrote it 100 places already, and other people know it. Toutes les bases volées, toutes les bases violées. I will translate that. All Labour Party people are thieves. All Labour Party people are rapists. You know who said that?
No.
Sir John Compton, at a public meeting. That same John Compton, I was with him in Venezuela at a do with Caldera when he was president of Venezuela. And Compton delivered a speech on Simon Bolivar.
Mm-hmm.
He was the last to speak. Venezuelans spoke, etc. By the time Compton was halfway through his speech, there was not a dry eye in the room. Compton was so great, so effective, and he obviously had a lot of admiration for Simon Bolivar. The point I want to make is, very often, it is not the guy talking who's a dummy, who's an idiot, you know. It's the people listening to him and applauding him. So the same guy who will applaud, who gets all kind of applause in view for saying, toutes les bases volées, toutes les bases violées, all Labour Party were thieves, all Labour. That same guy is bringing the house down before a more educated audience on the hero of Venezuela. You see my point? So very often it is not the guy who is talking the crap because he's saying it because he thinks that's what. I listened to Ernest Hilaire once on a platform, and I was impressed. I was reading while I was listening to him on TV. I was impressed, and then all of a sudden it occurred to me, what's going on here? I looked up to see if it was still Ernest talking there, and the conversation had come from the sky to the gutter. You know, I'm exaggerating a bit.
I don't think you're exaggerating, Rick. It's quite...
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, I have had UWP guys on my show, I've had Labour Party guys on my show, and I've asked them that question. I asked Josie that question way back in the day, and Josie said to me, well, where did I say that? And I didn't answer because I was knocking him.
Based on the audience.
Exactly, he said I was talking about that. So that is what happens. So very often when we want to talk about the guys saying this, we are the ones complicit and tolerating it. Tolerating it.
But the Prime Minister was not speaking on the market step. You're speaking in Parliament.
Look at where he's talking.
In Parliament. But go ahead, caller.
Yeah, but Rick,
I am not justifying the
Prime Minister. I understand.
Right. Yeah, but yes, you see, but this is precisely my point, Rick. And this is something I want you, both you and Tim, to recognize that at the power you all yield, because people have a great amount of respect for you all. And this is...
Caller. You know, we say those things glibly. People have a great amount. People have a respect if you're saying the party line that they like. People don't respect it. Respect is just a word. It's meaningless in this country. We don't have respect for ourselves, otherwise...
But let the caller finish, so...
No, I will agree with Rick on a certain level. You see, but you see, there are some people that we still have to cater for. These people out there. These people you're talking about there.
You shouldn't vote for them.
Nothing you could say that will convince them.
You shouldn't vote for them because you knew them before they were voted. I don't want to go into any names.
Okay, caller, thank you. But in the chat room, you're pissing people off, because somebody says that, let me log out, Rick getting me on my freaking nerves.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. My point proves.
We have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
That's my personal conclusion to what's going on. Concerning shall stay. I truly believe the reason why because Chelsea took that so far. Something happens in the house that has never happened before. When the Speaker asked the police to stop Mr. Chelsea from going out, that never happened before in the house. And I believe that's the reason why Mr. Chelsea take that so far. The Speaker don't have any power to prevent anybody at any time to leave the house. He has the power to ask you to leave if you're disturbing, if you're doing something contrary to the rules of the house. He can ask you to leave. Because I remember at one point, Ben Allen asked Lancico to leave the house at one point. The other time I noticed that Guy Joseph left the house on his own merit when he had told...
No, he was given the choice.
When he had told Mr. Peter Foster that What he said again?
That was not the occasion.
Not your role.
That was not the occasion, caller. No.
And he went out on his own merit. But I've been following the house from 1918 in the 80s, and I never come to a point where any speaker will tell a member to leave the house. And that is where I believe Claudius went wrong. And if they're going to get judgment, that is where the judge is going to rule. You cannot ask the police to stop a member of the house to stop them from going out when any member of the house can get up and leave the house at any time.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much.
On that point, Tim, not only can I not find a rule that allows the speaker to do that, but naming a person is the extreme sanction you can put on a parliamentarian. Extreme. You know what level you have to rise to that? Like throwing the mace around, like threatening a person with a gun. It is the extreme sanction. You don't just use it. It's the highest punishment you can put on an MP. The extreme. And so see how that clashes with being able to speak without inhibitions.
Somebody says, Tim, I would like Rick's views on the following. A Speaker of the House hosting a weekly television show where he threatens and attacks citizens.
I think that person is just provoking me. You know very well that cries out for vengeance, especially when you're using the show to threaten citizens.
And the same applies to, according to the individual, a sitting MP having a weekly talk show where he threatens and attacks citizens.
Well, I would go in the same boat as far as I'm concerned.
A Speaker of the House retaining his position after
but
court.
Let me say, I think the Speaker is more egregious, because I don't care how that minister behaves in the house, anywhere or in the House, the Speaker is in control to bridle him.
Yeah.
So the minister, I think it's less egregious than the Speaker.
We have a call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin, you're on the air.
Yeah, team.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
Yeah, man. I want to stray from the main topic today, because I think I was one of your first comments on Facebook.
But I have a guest there, so let's not ignore whatever you're going to say. It applies to my guest.
But I want to make, because it's a problem for me in Sufre. I'm calling from Sufre.
Caller, is that you talking about the issue with your child mother?
No.
Something pertaining to?
I'm talking about by the Sufre primary school in Sufre.
Okay.
People start keeping pigs in that area.
Okay.
You know? And that's something I want you to address on one of your other shows.
What is the issue in Sufre?
Pigs next to the school, the primary school, right by the river.
Okay.
They started with one pig. Now I see a couple of other people put more pigs there, and it's starting to smell it right by the road.
And have you taken this to the authorities? Have you taken this to the authorities? Do you have a town council?
As a matter of fact, my wife spoke to the people working in the health department. And what they're saying to my wife, if somebody don't make a report, they cannot do nothing about it, which I find very strange.
And how? Yeah.
That is what the man told my wife. If somebody don't make a report, that they can do nothing about it. Anyway, that's what I.
And how is this? How is this affecting you, caller?
Well, I'm smelling it right now, because I mean, when I saw the person with the one pig by the river, he didn't pick up on me. I say just maybe that person just keeping that pig to kill pretty soon.
Right.
But that pig even looking pregnant now.
Wow. And how long has the pig been there?
Oh, over 4 months now.
4 months now. Okay.
Yeah.
Caller, I like pork.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, bless. Yeah.
All right, we'll take a few more calls and we'll conclude our broadcast with my special guest, Rick Wayne. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages, 716-2026. We have a call. Quick contribution from you, caller. Good afternoon. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to your guest, Mr.
Hi there.
I've heard a lot about this this statement made by the Prime Minister in the House with reference to the elderly lady or elderly ladies. And, you know, what struck me is that in St. Lucia, do you think our people really understand the concept of democracy and constitutional rights?
My point precisely.
Because, I mean, doesn't the elderly lady have the right to choose to follow or walk or run or do whatever she wishes to do, as long as she's not breaking the law? And so when I listen to the Prime Minister, it really sounds like as you said earlier, Mr. Wayne, and I think the caller said it earlier, that the Prime Minister knows who he's speaking to. Rather than educating our people, to educate them about democracy, the concept of democracy and how it impacts our lives in our society, and how constitutional rights, what's the Constitution, and again, how it's relevant to our life in our communities. He's de-educating our people. He's talking to the most ignorant and the most uneducated of the people in St. Lucia, whose only point of reference is which political party they support or not.
But caller,
but mind you, before you go on, Rick, mind you, caller, in his cabinet, he has an elderly affairs minister in Moses Jean-Baptiste. He has an elderly affairs minister.
But he does have a granny as well in his cabinet, Granny E.
Let me say this quickly. You would think that if a cause is so important to a person who is handicapped that they would join that a march in favor of it, handicapped in a wheelchair, that would suggest the impact of the cause on the handicapped person in the wheelchair to draw that person out to a march, huh? So it's not. It is underscoring how much the cause meant to the person in the wheelchair or the handicapped person. You know, you would think so. And also, it would have served had the Prime Minister also said something about the young people who were there too. You know, not just pick on the elderly, because there were a lot of young people there as well. But again, like I said, you know, the Prime Minister is echoing the rest of us. How many places in this country, and I should know, do you have any kind of arrangements for restaurants, government buildings, and how many places have adequate attention paid handicapped people who want to come into government offices
to access facilitate wheelchairs getting into the buildings,
and so on and so on. Or if there's even a wheelchair on any ground floor of a government office, so that anybody needing one can be offered one, etc. How many?
Well, very good point. But the point is now, if we look into the future, and if you go, what are our statutes, our building statutes? Is it anywhere mandated that public offices should create access for disabled persons?
Exactly. But caller, let's be quick to say that this is not a Philip Pierre problem or a Labour Party. It's a general problem in this country that we don't care about handicapped people. We really make no arrangements for them.
Well, only at election time. No, but election time.
But the thing is, gentlemen, aren't leaders supposed to lead? Aren't they supposed to actually?
But you can't just call people. You can't just call people leaders. That's your problem. Because a guy has been elected to front for a group doesn't mean he had the smallest leadership qualities, etc. It's you and the choice. We have to be more careful how we use words, caller.
Final comment, caller.
Just before I leave, I'll just sorry. Yes.
Yes, finally.
Yes. Finally, have you ever seen such ceremony, such pomp and ceremony before a group of men and women eat their own vomit? I saw it yesterday in the house.
I couldn't say that at lunchtime.
Okay, thank you so much, caller. All right, we'll take a final call at 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Finally, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hey, hi, Tim. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to you.
I'm so happy that I got you. Tim, was there any borrowing done in the house yesterday?
Yes, I think 2 sets of borrowing. I can't remember for what, but I think one is to facilitate the budget. I can't remember the other one, but the 2 sets of borrowing.
But Tim, nobody mentioned that.
In the house?
No, I mean the callers. Nobody has said anything. You know, I mean the issue is what happened with Shastri and all of that, but nobody's asking why monies were borrowed yesterday and how much money was borrowed yesterday. I mean, that is affecting us, the taxpayers. These are monies that we have to pay. And I find it's almost like a non-issue. Nobody's saying anything about it. I haven't heard anybody said anything about that.
Well, who are you blaming for that, Carl?
Why? Because nobody cares, Rick. Nobody
That's
cares.
right. You know, 2 people died. I kept warning Tim that very soon we won't even be hearing about the killings. You know, two people were shot Sunday and Saturday. Did you know that?
Yes.
Well,
A bare mention.
I reported it when yesterday. I reported it.
A bare mention. No
Spoke about it.
No more discussion about people dying on our streets.
And our media personnel, I think they have gone in hiding because they do not report the news anymore.
Yeah, but what about people? Like for example, the lady I keep talking about who was a hero at her son's death. I mean, people like that. You know, we got to have these group leaders, you know. Not even from her. You don't hear from the Home Affairs Minister, who's a woman. Right. I thought you women had the sense, the softer sense, you know. I thought you.
I don't know. This country is lost, Rick. I don't know. We seem to be lost. But the real reason I called him, the passport office.
Oh.
Again, I thought they said they were going to be open on Tuesday. They were doing a deep cleaning and they would be opened on Tuesday. Was that not correct?
Yes. I saw that.
Okay. Today, a friend of mine went to have her passport sorted out. That's on the sidewalk by Ward's building, out in the element again. And she said about 9 o'clock, or almost 9 o'clock, there was no notification. Nobody came to say anything. And almost 9 o'clock, a lady came handing flyers out to the persons waiting to get the passport processed.
Flyers saying what?
Okay, well, this person apparently has a private
passport place.
Passport place, yes.
Private business.
Well, you gotta admit that's creative.
Yes, so the person has a private passport place. So the person was handing out flyers to the persons waiting online. So now you cannot get a passport through the normal channel. You're paying $250 for your passport now. Cannot get it through the normal channel, so you have to go and pay additional monies to an individual to process your passport for you. So my question is, if this individual can process your passport and get it into the passport office, why can't you?
Carla, let me ask you something. A lot of people are having problems with passport, etc., etc. All those people who are lining up there, because by all accounts, you have a lot of people lining up there, etc. Would it have made more sense to get a permit and go and demonstrate outside the ministry responsible for that?
For Home Affairs.
The problems with
must we demonstrate? Was we demonstrate for everything, Rick?
Not everything. The important things.
But that's important.
The important things.
Being held ransom as far as
yeah. Caller, that is my problem right now. My problem right now has less to do with the individual politicians, because they will be what they are. We know them to be. My concern is that we, the people, are becoming more and more like the politicians, that we're swimming in the same miasma, that we are no different. You know, and shows like Tim's, as great and wonderful as it is, are almost complicit in it, in that they can come and vent and forget about it and then go and take their line again tomorrow.
But Caller, is there any comfort that the passport office, I'm told, will be relocated to the Cox building, a section of the Cox building that is on Caddy Street?
But it's about time, Tim. That is long overdue. It is long overdue. You know, why would you have persons working in an environment that will get them sick? And then when they go to the hospital, you don't have no proper health care, you have no medication, you have no proper beds, you know. So what's going on? What is going on? And I'm telling people, listen, you have to stand up for your rights. You, as a citizen of St. Lucia, have a right to get a passport. And if you're not getting your passport on a timely basis, then you should be out there with your placard. You should be out there with your placard and demonstrate.
That is a human right. A birth certificate, your passport, driver's license.
People have no clue what human rights or democracy are.
Okay, Caller.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Somebody asked me some time ago if I thought this was an appropriate time to have a group like the Forum used to be, that existed strictly for educating purposes. I said, of course, it's a wonderful time, but who the hell would ever believe anybody if he said, I'm not interested in politics, I just want to get a... Who would believe that?
Because of their own experience.
And then you'd get attacked
Yeah.
about your mother's panties and everything else, you know.
Rick, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. Final comments from you.
Final comments. I never have final comments too. I just want your listeners, and especially your people on
Facebook in the chat room,
on the chat room and so on, that I don't come here to massage and make people feel good. I leave that to the politicians. I want to shove in your face the stink that has been there the longest while, and you've always reacted to it. I say, you know, the thing smell, it smell, but you ain't doing.
And you know, say things like, you know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. When I'm finished, go and look at that word unfortunate. It has its appropriate moments. Okay, but the man ain't giving me a break. God. Anyway. So
it's unfortunate because I have it there, you know, Rick.
I know.
Right? Sadly, regrettably,
okay,
unhappily.
That's the way. That's the sense.
Unluckily.
That's the sense.
Woefully.
Tim,
lamentably.
Tim, the sense I use it in is regrettably, not unluckily.
Well, say regrettably, Rick. You're a man of words.
I will say it now, regrettably. Yeah, but so I want solutions when they hear me. Well, I never was otherwise, but I want to underscore it. I don't come on TV or on the radio to sing songs and whistle and talk about this and that. The country sucks. We are living a little higher than animals, and it's not just this term of office. We've been there for a long time. We've been there many, many years. Whatever has gone on in Parliament there, we've had 100 times worse go on in Parliament. Nobody got arrested. Nobody got nothing at all. You know, and now we're having extreme sanctions for somebody who refuses to withdraw. Tim, there's nothing wrong with refusing to withdraw. If the Speaker can order the thing be removed from Hansard, and the Speaker can suspend you for a day in consequence. So the mere fact of saying, I will not withdraw, is not the sin. It's not the sin. And even when that is used, it must not be used as an inhibition to free speech by a parliamentarian. The parliamentarian has a particular need of being able to speak without inhibition. Things we don't have, Tim. We give that to the parliamentarian with good cause. Thank you very much. Every now and again I would like to come here and not just a call, but as much as the legs will allow.
I'll be extending an invitation again very, very soon. Thank you so much, Rick. To you, thank you so much for watching the broadcast on YouTube as well as our NewsSpin Facebook page. And thank you as well for listening on Power 97.9 FM. Thank you for your calls and, of course, the conversation in the chat room. Thank you to our sponsors. This has been another edition of NewsSpin. Please join me same time tomorrow afternoon, same time 12:30 for another edition of the broadcast. I'll be on DBS Television 7 o'clock this evening with the DBS News World, and at 8:30, Newsmaker Live. Goodbye.